Hello, everyone, and welcome to the North America chapter call of AMEC. They are going to be talking to you about writing AMEC award-winning entries. And this selected panel is here because they have all done just that on many occasions. So we have brought out the champions to help you as you look to prepare for your award entry season coming up at the end of this month. Starts at the end of this month, but you have until July to complete. So this is maybe one of my favorite times of year because we are just heading in. We're about 4 weeks from the summit. Oh, everybody who's attending can enjoy that countdown, and I will answer questions about what cruise attire might mean for you, since that's an overwhelming demand right now. But really, it's the convergence of a great program where we're all going to be together covering a variety of topics, from brand testimonials to case studies to a smattering here and there of AI specific topics. So not to overwhelm some of that core best practice, but to really help augment everything that everyone's doing. And we'll talk about in that, synthetic personas, some agent allocation, looking at internal brand case studies. And one of the exciting things is our opening keynote is a CCO unfiltered. That means we can ask all kinds of great questions, get some perspectives, both on what it takes to be a great CCO, where you find yourself in the system, how you can be successful and have a CEO that supports you. But also, if you are an agency or a partner of a CCO, some of those may be red flags to look for that, might indicate that you need to rally around your champion to get them to the level that you need them to be to really help demonstrate the value of your work so that they can sell that internally as a champion that you need. So exciting times. And then that combines with the awards entry team, which is amazing because that is everyone putting the best of the best forward, which then leads to a couple of months of, the hand-wringing and stress and trauma of judges, which sounds really mean to say, but it's actually quite exciting because that's just a demonstration of how great the work is. And so I hope that you'll be able to join us in Vienna, either in person or virtually. Both passes are still available. And look, at the end of the month, we will open the entries for the awards. So you can take a look at some of the adjustments in the categories and see how you fit in, where some of your clients can really excel, and tee those up over the next couple of months to be able to hopefully bring home the bling come November when we have the awards ceremony in London, which is always a fun evening. And depending or not, I usually always am pretty cruel to Johnny, but he's a good sport about it. So we're going to take that. Johnny Bentwood, I always sit him like right in front. So things get a little tedious. I can pick on him relentlessly. So it just works out, sometimes. So without any other hesitation, I will take any questions or feedback that you might have in the chat, but I am going to turn over the main part of this program to the lovely Maya Koleva of Commetric, who is going to moderate the session of the champions and talk to everyone about, as you are looking over the next few weeks and as the categories open, how you can submit your very own award-winning entries. So Maya, over to you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. This is the second Guided Growth Mentorship panel organized by the AMEC North America chapter, and today we're talking awards. The award season kicks in, so with this webinar, we really want to give you insights on the experience of entering your work in comms measurement and evaluation in award schemes, the learning you gain in the process, and even provide some tips for successful award entry writing. This webinar is brought to you by the AMEC North America chapter, led by chapter chairs Mary Elizabeth Germain and Jane Quigley, and the fantastic executive producer of the Guided Growth Mentorship panel, Lauren Hesse from Ketchum. I am your host and moderator today. My name is Maya. I'm the Director of Research and Insights at Commetric, a proud AMEC board director, and a regular AMEC award judge. Today with us are 4 outstanding ladies with exceptional awards track record, and I counted, they have won between themselves and their organizations over 100 awards in the past few award seasons, so we can all learn a lot from their journeys. We have two representatives of global PR and comms agencies, both of which with really great track record of award success, a representative from an award-winning media intelligence service provider, and an in-house team representative who happened to have won AMEC Gold Awards with two different employers. And I would like to hand over to our amazing panelists so they can introduce themselves. Angela, over to you.
Great. Hello, nice to be with you all today. I'm Angela Dwyer. I'm VP of Insights at Fullintel. And as mentioned, I work in media intelligence as kind of a third party offering credible data. I've been in PR over 20 years of PR experience, 15 years or more specifically in media measurement. So focusing on helping comms teams prove the value of their work and improve their performance through data. I've sat at PR agencies, including Fleshman, Porter Novelli, and Lippy Taylor, as well as research firms like Fullintel, where I am today. And I really focus on integrating what I would call academic level research into my work to develop science-based predictive metrics. I'm part of AMEC, really proud to be part of this community. I'm also involved with PageUp, PRSA, Tick to Biotech, and I currently serve as the director of the Institute for Public Relations Measurement Commission, a group of about 40 global leaders in measurement with great AMEC member representation. Nice to be with you today.
Thank you, Angela. Elise, hello.
Hi, nice
Please
to see
introduce
everyone.
yourself.
So my name's Elise. I'm a consumer insight professional. So I actually grew up in that world. I started off at the Ehrenberg Bass Institute looking at what makes brands stand out. So media measurement and evaluation came afterwards. So it was always something I was very interested in and tried to get it as part of my job. And then it really just fueled that fire inside me. And I did it for a couple of years. Really, that's all I did. And now as a consumer insight professional, I try to integrate it into my day job. So for me, I think we'll talk a lot about integration later today. And just on a fun note, what do I like to do in my spare time? I like to go swimming. So I'm really powered by curiosity and chlorine. I would say they're the two things that really get me going. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Grace, great to have you. Can you please tell us about yourself?
Of course, I am very excited to be here. My name is Grace Blankenburg. I am a managing consultant on the analytics team here at Ketchum. I've been in the industry for about 6 years, with Ketchum for around 4, and I work on a range of clients in the manufacturing space, so that really leans towards automotive, food and ag. And a lot of my expertise lies in measurement frameworks, dashboarding. A lot of my focus is on holistic measurement, so integrating both primary research, secondary research to really demonstrate the value and impact for our clients. I also specialize in audience profiling. I support with search engine optimization, so really all in service of helping our clients understand how consumers are their behaviors and priorities. And then all of my work is really grounded in my undergraduate background in psychology and a really deep passion for understanding human behavior. I always like to say that if I weren't here right now, I would probably be a forensic detective. I really like solving puzzles. I like knowing what makes people tick, and I like connecting the dots, which a lot of our work requires. So I get my fix one way or another.
That's fantastic. Megan, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. So I'm Megan Gonzalez, and I lead the marketing efforts for Edelman Data and Intelligence, or DXI, which is the global data and intelligence team at Edelman. I lead, as I mentioned, I lead the marketing of the division of the firm, of this division of the firm, which includes award entries. So my role is really to work with team members across the business to curate and storytell and submit those award entries. I come from a traditional communications and branding background, previous CMO, so storytelling, positioning, and brand building are kind of in my DNA. And what I've really learned, in this role is, the magic really happens when you pair insight with narrative clarity, and that's where awards really come in. And they're not just about recognition; it's about shaping how we think about the value of the work that we're doing. So, and that's the space I love to operate in. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, ladies. That sounds amazing. I think we're in for a great conversation. I have so many things I want to ask you, and I really hesitated where to even start from. So I'll start here. Angela, what inspired you to start writing award entries, and how did you choose which projects to submit in your very first attempt?
Thank you. We started entering awards after seeing the real difference our work was making for our clients. Not just getting attention, but actually helping them reach their goals, right? As we kind of got better at measuring impact, using the right metrics, using AMEC's principles in everything we do with our clients, we felt like submitting our work was a great way to, one, see how we measured up, right? And second, to share some of just the successes. It's been a great way to give credit to our team internally and celebrate them, and also our clients and celebrate the work they're doing. So that's really kind of our main reason why we started doing this. And when we're looking at what projects maybe to submit, we're often looking for ones that have measurable outcomes, something beyond outputs. And usually this is achieved with clients who are engaged in research, have multiple data sources available. For example, while we in our organization, we specialize in media analysis. So that's kind of our only research tool or method, but we often integrate reputational survey data or financial data from clients into the analysis. So in these cases, we can better show the influence of the work by connecting comms outputs to outcomes and even impact. When we don't have this additional data layer, right? So we're talking to some from different organizations. Sometimes we don't have access to any other data than what we're creating at our organization. So then we really focus on clients that are using smart or predictive metrics that might predict how likely news coverage is to influence audiences or predict how likely content is to build trust based on previously conducted primary research. We look for projects where clients have taken action, right? Where we see they're really using the data to inform decision making, or just clients who are really excited about the work like we are. So those are some of the reasons or ways we pick projects. But I did want to add one little note here as I'm talking about that. And we've kind of seen people from different organizations. So I wanted to add something kind of from the third party measurement advisor perspective, because some of you joining might be coming from that position. I found that one of the challenges that you might have as a third party measurement advisor is that you might have limited access with the final outcomes or how the data was actually used. I found that PR agencies that engage in maybe the full process might have more of an advantage because they might have more information, right? They have teams that have actually implemented the findings from that research. In-house teams may have an even greater advantage because they have more access than an agency. They're actually doing the work in-house. They have access to senior executives and even maybe a full vision of the process, the implementation, the results. So I wanted to provide that because of the challenge that I've personally had. But with that said, I do think that even if you feel limited due to the access you might have, or because you play a limited piece in that full program, I don't want that to hold you back, right? Because while there might feel like there are some limitations, one of the things that you can do, if you do feel that way, is think about and acknowledge what maybe you recommended your client to do, or what you would incorporate if you were running the full program, and just really demonstrate an awareness of maybe what that limitation might be and what the ideal situation may look like. In academia, we call a section of our paper the limitations, right, in future studies. So just even with some limitations, if you feel that, I believe you really can compete for an award and be competitive. Just keeping in mind that full picture and that awareness of what it would look like in an ideal world. I hope that provides some guidance as you're getting started.
That totally resonates with me. Thank you, Angela. Megan, may I ask you, did you and your team ever hesitate to put your work forward for an award? And if you did, what helped you overcome that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, especially coming from more of an advertising and branding world where entries are often judged by, how they look rather than the impact behind them. I was really like used to celebrating creative execution, and sometimes depending on the work, maybe we don't have that scope of the work, or that's not even part of the project. So I think when I transitioned into a more data-led space, I questioned myself whether the work would hold up without a glossy finish, or questioned if the work was strong enough, because sometimes you get too close to the work too, and you start to really like understand the work. And even our own team members, they've been doing it for months or years, depending on the work, and you just don't really know how powerful it really is. But when you really sit down and think about the impact that the work is having, and really think about it through that lens, I find myself finding a lot more entries that we would like to submit the more that I look at it from impact. And effectiveness is definitely a story worth telling. If something doesn't look flashy on the surface, it's still made a real impact. So I look at everything from an impact perspective, and what was the true impact. And that really helps us to expand our award series. And my advice is, if you're not sure, you should submit it. Just see where it goes. You can always do a year of testing and seeing like which entries you submit work and which ones don't. And you can kind of look at those and see what you need to adjust for the next year. Because there have been a few where I'm like, this is iffy. And then, once you finish the write-up and you finish all of the information, it's very easy to see that, okay, this is a really great award-winning piece.
Thank you so much. Elise, hello again.
Hi.
You have won AMEC Gold Awards recently with case studies on your two previous employers, PMI and Ricola. What new skills have you gained through the award writing and preparation process?
Yeah, I think one of them is to simply pause and reflect on what you've done, because if there's one thing I've learned in corporate world, we're always just go, 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 and you do one thing, you're on to the next, or you're doing 50 million things at once. So it's like literally just you get your pen and write it out. And the first draft is always rotten. It's always bad. So just start, and it causes you to think, okay, what can I do better as well? And so I think this is where you can make continuous improvement. Angela talked a lot about academia as well. So I'm doing a part-time doctorate in academia. And, in this world, you're always forced to sort of look at different theories. What are the different methodologies? Are your assumptions still true? What are the different hypotheses? And so I think bringing a bit of this academic thinking also into corporate world, just to really think through what you've done helps. And I think that's where I do some of my best thinking, because I'm always saying, okay, yeah, I can definitely do this better, can learn and improve. And then you're just always improving. So I think it's just a good skill to create a habit of doing, because we always say we're too busy. So just, making that deliberate reflection, pause and reflect and give it a go. Like Megan said, just give it a go and see how you go, and you will improve as you do it.
Thank you for this perspective, Elise. Very valuable, I think, for all of us who work with in-house teams. And now over to you, Grace. I wonder, how has writing award entries improved your ability to tell compelling stories with data?
Yeah. So writing award entries has really sharpened my approach to storytelling with data. A lot of entries have word limits, which automatically forces you to really cut through the noise to pinpoint the so what in a really concise and persuasive way. So something I've learned in writing award entries is to take 5 steps back from the work. So beyond my own view of it, beyond even the client's view, to really ask myself, how can I clearly distill the value for someone who is not at all familiar with it? So it needs to have that sort of human component to it when you're crafting. So for example, for one entry, we had to explain how we transform metrics and KPIs into actionable business intelligence. And the client had previously used, metrics like reach and volume, and we worked to move them away from that towards deeper metrics. And that required getting a bit into the weeds, right? Explaining what those metrics are and why we chose to replace them. But it also forced me to consider, like, what does the end audience actually need to know? Do they really need to know all this information across product lines, or like what type of media we're measuring, or can I just really keep it high level to get my point across? And that's something I take with me today in fleshing out those narratives. I forget who else said that, but that the first draft is always awful. I tend to just like blurt out a bunch of what's in my brain, and then kind of shape it down, and like pull away things that I don't think are totally necessary. And another way it's improved my storytelling is in understanding what makes a compelling narrative. You can't just say what you did. You really need that first and third act too, to lay out the challenge, the problem you're solving, and then the final act, like that kind of mic drop moment where you really explain the impact of your work, and that impact should ideally just speak for itself.
Well, thank you. That's a great answer. Megan, has award writing helped you better articulate the value of analytics to non-technical stakeholders, both within Edelman and with your end clients? And if yes, how?
Absolutely. I mean, our team, I'm really lucky to have such great partners on award entries that are really great data storytellers. And I think that's really contributed to that. But I find that as I create award entries, I often find myself asking more questions to dig deeper, to understand the why behind everything. And as I'm able to really understand that on different projects, then it is easier for me to then translate the same communications to either internal or external stakeholders. So awards have really given me a jumping off point of really digging deeper into the work and not just focusing on, the end deliverable, but really like what the insights enabled. Did it change a message? Did it prove a hunch? And then helping a team say yes or no with more confidence. And that's kind of the language that stakeholders understand. And I think having to go through all of the different, entry, the different topics that you have to answer in awards really helps you like dig that out of the work. Whereas when you're just originally presenting to a client, a lot of times they already understand the challenge and all of the information that comes with it. So I think awards are great at helping with the non-technical stakeholders.
Thank you. And Angela, over to you. What do you think award-winning work in analytics signals about the direction of our industry in general?
That's a really, really good question. AMEC is a pioneer, right, in guiding communications measurement and evaluation. If you think about the AMEC Awards, they've been around for more than 20 years. I think the first one was 2003. So really pioneer in this industry. But one signal that I've seen in the industry lately that confirms this direction of valuing measurement analytics is that other organizations are now in small ways starting to recognize this work in these roles. So some of the ones I thought of was PRSA Ample Awards for the first time ever opened a category focused on analytics in 2024, just last year. Okay, so others are like starting to get the hint. PR News People of the Year Award had a category added for measurement game changers that was introduced in 2023, and I was in that first cohort. And I cite these two because outside of AMEC, it's honestly very limited. But they're starting to be, just in the last couple of years, organizations that are recognizing measurement. And it's a signal that the value is expanding outside of the measurement community and to other audiences as well. So I see that as a good thing, that more are starting to value it and talk about it. Kind of the other thing I wanted to mention here is that the award-winning work that we see, the campaigns and projects that are celebrated with AMEC, it's also really about the quality, right? It's the work we see is just really high quality. It's being recognized for measuring what really matters, with metrics beyond volume, like we heard about already. And when I had the opportunity to serve as an AMEC judge, I was just really impressed, to be honest, with the caliber of the work. I've judged other types of awards, campaign awards, but I found this to be really impressive in terms of not just what it was, but the thought process. And we've heard that. So just really kind of being thoughtful with strategic implementations and even just an awareness, right, of some of the differentiations that we talked about from outputs to outcomes to impact. But I really think the best work is really focusing on kind of the behavior changes, these outcomes, and it shows the direction that we're moving. It's not about, just sending out a report or giving a pretty dashboard to an executive, but really looking at the right data sources and asking the right questions and using data to guide strategy and influence decision-making. That's what I'm seeing more, as opposed to the scorecard that I think was a focus of many organizations not even that long ago. And some were still moving along, but I do see a really positive trend in the industry, and we see it in awards.
Thank you. Grace, we heard a perspective from the media intelligence services sector. And how about the agency point of view? What do you think award-winning work in analytics signals about the direction of our industry, and where are we heading?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of my thoughts align really well with what Angela was saying. So we're seeing that the type of award-winning work is really reflective of an integrated strategy. So analytics married with reputation, with the strategy team to have that holistic impact. And I am seeing also a growing premium on work that understands and can really demonstrate the holistic impact of our efforts. So bringing together qualitative, quantitative, even our clients' own research and combining that with what we found to really show how everything is holistically coming together tells me that the industry is heading in a direction where analytics is valued as a tool for agility and impact beyond, like Angela said, moving from the output to outcome metrics. So similar viewpoint, but definitely that integrated lens I'm experiencing on my end as well.
Thank you. Elise, what about you from your kind of in-house perspective? Have you noticed any trends over the last few years in the types of work you have submitted and that's getting shortlisted and winning awards? What is your view?
I told you we talk about integration, and I think it's come up multiple times, and I think Grace just summed it up brilliantly. I mean, it is, I think it's all about integration. It's not just doing research for research's sake, insights for insight's sake, but, what is the impact that you're making? Firstly, what is your objective? That always takes time. And then moving along that funnel and, okay, what's the impact? But when you look at all of the data we have available now, there's just so much within companies. I mean, data is not our problem. There's way too much. We have media metrics, consumer research, other operational KPIs, a million dashboards. I know Angela talked about dashboards. We have way too many. People don't have the time to look at it. So it's like, how can we create that sort of that cross-functional data fluency and everything's coming together? And I think that's where the magic happens too. I mean, when it's integrated, it helps inform your thinking because you're looking at different sources, you're rethinking your hypotheses, and that, I think that's where it becomes really beautiful, actually. So this is the big thing. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about AI. I mean, that's a topic for another webinar, right? About these always-on real-time ecosystems. I mean, I think I just read a report today by Gartner that was saying by 2027, more than half of business decisions will be informed by AI. Okay, let's see. I think everyone's saying not yet, but that's obviously impacting our industry. But I still think for now, we still need humans. We still need us because you need humans to really interpret the data, to understand, what does this mean? And actually ask the smart questions, what are you actually trying to do? What is your objective? And so you need those humans to really look at it and ethically look at it as well. So obviously there's big changes coming in our industry, but it's exciting. Yeah.
It is exciting, probably equal weight scary at some point, so isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Megan, I have a different type of question for you. Have you ever faced a dilemma between going with a blinded case study for an award entry and naming your client?
Absolutely. I love this question because I used to think that if you could not name the client, that you may as well not submit the entry. And what I've really found is that even some of our unbranded work that we've submitted has done extremely well. And while it's in some ways not ideal because you can't name the client, in some ways, sometimes it allows you to expand even more about the project and you don't have to worry about the guardrails that are in place with clients and their information. And I think AMEC does a really good job of allowing that to be expressed. And I've even had times where we've submitted something unbranded, and then the client realizes, oh, they're really not publishing that much information that is like, proprietary or something that we need to not disclose. And hey, can we tag on now and get credit for this? And so we've even had that happen. So I just really encourage everyone to just, if it needs to be unbranded or debranded, then absolutely do so. I don't think you should hesitate if it does. I always, push for the client to get the recognition that they deserve and really push to encourage them. I have a bunch of different email templates that I use when talking to clients and scripts and talking points. But at the end of the day, if it is a confidential project, explore the opportunity of doing it blinded and see where that goes.
Thank you. That's a great tip, I think, and I hope many hesitant award entrants this year would go for a blinded case study if they haven't secured a client permission. But to that question, actually, Angela, from your experience, how do you convince your clients to greenlight award submissions?
Yeah, thank you. As a third-party measurement provider, we work with clients similar to the agency format. So we don't have a submission without our clients, right? So it's really important to work with them. So in the years that we've worked on these awards, we found just the benefit of kind of more collaboration and working with them. We frame the award submission, kind of as Megan was talking about. We have, a way to show the impact, we frame it as a way to celebrate what they've done, to show the quality of the work. Especially when there's just a strong story and measurable results. For many clients, it is a chance to build their brand reputation. Sometimes those in kind of more of the measurables are not getting recognition, so it can really show their leadership in their industry. And when they see that it's not just about chasing trophies, but it's really about highlighting success and maybe even setting a benchmark for future work, they're often on board if they're able to do that in terms of showing the name. Sometimes, again, there might be challenges where clients really can't. Some can't participate and some can, but not use the company name. We have some big clients where there are rules with their legal departments where we can't use their names, but they're also, really, really interesting clients. So you have to kind of balance those rules, those opportunities. But I would say that, again, framing it as here's the impact, here's the value, but also we try to make it as easy as possible. So, we take on all the heavy lifting and, we send them the case, they can review it. We also show them what's going to be public and what's not. Kind of like Megan was saying, it's the name, it's the title. The actual case is just going to be the judges. It makes them feel a little bit more comfortable sharing information. If all of that was going to be public, they might be a little bit nervous to share all of that externally. So I think also explaining, here's who sees this, here's what's public. We do heavy lifting. But what kind of the last thing is, I found that when I do that, it's really rewarding. My favorite calls lately have been on a call with a client, essentially asking them, hey, do you want to partner on this and collaborate on an AMEC award? And it's almost a Socratic method. Most of the time I'm teaching, I'm educating on measurement and best practices and the results. And it's my turn to fill my bucket and hear them tell me how they're using the measurement and the value it's had for them and how they've been sharing it with their executives or their teams. I was shocked actually with a client that they were sharing it with thousands of people, not just, the executives. They say we share it with all of our teams so that they can use this in the work that they're doing. I had no idea. And so for me, that felt rewarding, that it wasn't just kind of falling flat and showing up in an email and no one was looking at the type of things we're sending over in terms of measurement reports. So for me, beyond just the award, it's really rewarding personally to hear that our efforts have made a difference, that they haven't just fallen flat, that they've actually had an impact on our clients. So it's just a great relationship experience beyond just submitting the awards. So I really, again, try to frame it, try to take the work off their plate, and then hopefully make it just a great experience to work together on something.
Amazing, thank you. To our audience online now live, please use the Q&A box during the panel to ask your questions. Our panelists, as you have heard so far, are amazing, full of really, really great expertise and tips and tricks and personal experience stories. I will go back to some of the more strategic tactical questions on tips and tricks in writing entries. Grace, how do you balance the requirements for technical accuracy of your analytics and measurement work with the storytelling needed for an engaging award entry? I think this is $1 million question, like a award winning.
Yeah, it's
No pressure, no pressure.
Oh, all good. Yeah, it definitely can be tricky. And everyone has a different process, but for me personally, accuracy is always going to take priority. That's the baseline that I start with. So you have to ensure that the data and the methodology and insights are true and that they're defensible. If you don't have that, then you don't have a story. So being able to show your work in an award entry is very important. And to show that, like, how that happened, how the insights kind of came to be. And having that strong technical foundation then sets you up to build the story. I tend to filter everything once I have that technical foundation through the lens of value. Are we demonstrating why our work matters? If you can articulate the challenge that you're solving, how you solved it, and that impact, and it's technically accurate, the story really starts to unfold itself. So from there, it's really about refining the narrative. Can you tighten language? Can you sharpen the message? Can you make sure that every detail you're adding from an engagement perspective is adding power to the story? I will say, if there's an opportunity in the award to summarize your work at the top, or if there's like an intro section, that's where I usually tend to have the most fun. I like to keep it punchy. Can't hurt to drop a pun or two if you're feeling fun. You really want to pull the reader in from the get-go, just like you would a hook for a traditional story, just to set the stage for the impact and value to come.
And as an award judge, I have always loved reading award entries with puns and with that are written not just with good storytelling, but also with good humor. I have one more question before I go to a little impro I prepared. And this one goes to Elise. Have awards opened new networking or collaboration opportunities for you, either internally or externally?
100%. I'd say even we threw out some good terms. I heard I think it was Angela saying beyond the award, not just chasing the trophies, but I think just being involved with AMEC as well. I mean, my journey, I started by going to a conference, met Richard, had a good chat. He taught me a lot, several years ago. Then I started submitting and winning some awards. Then one year I judged, back to submitting. I did one of the certificates as well, because there's lots of courses where you can just keep learning and improving. So I did one of those as well, one of those graduate certificates. So I think just the more you're involved and not necessarily chasing the trophy, but just learning and connecting with people, I think that's where the opportunities come, because you're making human connections as well. And this podcast is a good example too. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out afterwards. I'm always curious to meet new people and learn from others as well. So I think that's, and as part of my doctorate studies, my supervisor said at the start, most of the people that start just wanting to be a doctor, they drop out actually, because it's not what's really the fire inside you. It's because you're passionate and you're interested in the topic. And I think it's the same with anything you do in life. You have to be interested and want to learn. So I sort of take those learnings from my doctorate as well. And actually, we talked a lot about, just the beauty of having the recognition. And my doctorate is on employee manager relationships and what is really important in the workplace. And recognition is important. We're human, we need it. So I'd say that's just like the icing on the cake, just to get that recognition. I personally find it's motivating. Client side, supplier side, everyone is just, we all want to win. So I think the more people that contribute to the awards, that submit, it just makes the excellence, the standard higher. So I think this is great what you're doing with the podcast and I think we need more awareness. I didn't know the awards had been around for 20 years. So now I'm like, damn, I missed out on all those years.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's not just about recognition, but I think that's where it starts. It's meaningful conversations. And yeah, surprisingly, I had a lot of people within my consumer insights sort of group saying, what is AMEC? How can I integrate media measurement into my role? And I think that's fantastic. It was surprising, but fantastic. So again, integration is really coming as well across different disciplines. Yeah.
Thank you, Elise. To anyone
Yeah.
who, for some reason, might not know who is the Richard Elise reference, this is AMEC legend Richard Bagnall, a former years-long chair of the AMEC board and one of the global leaders in our industry. So great that he managed to convince you into submitting award entries and award-winning work. Thank you,
Yes.
Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
We have a
Yes.
couple of questions coming in the Q&A box. The first one is from Jonathan Adams, who is working in-house. He has a great question, and I'll pop it to the floor to all of you. What is your take? Do you recommend partnering with your agency for a submission? And what are the advantages or disadvantages for an in-house team to submit something with the agency or a media intelligence partner versus by themselves?
I'm happy to jump in.
Please do, as an in-house
Because I'm
expert.
in-house. I mean, we've talked a lot about recognition. So I think if you have worked with agencies that are sort of part of the work and part of the journey, I think it's only fair that you include them, really. And I think when you submit awards, if you bring in different minds, diversity of thought, of thinking, of all sorts of things, I think it does make your award entry stronger. And you see that in all sorts of fields, right? If you're a consultant, they generally say, hey, partner with at least one other person because they'll tell you when your work sucks. So I think and you'll just enjoy it and have more fun. But I think ultimately, I mean, have a look at what you've done. What is the work? What were the objectives? Maybe it was something you did purely in-house. But I'd say if you can involve your agency, it helps also create that partnership, not just a transaction. And I think that's important when you're working with people.
I would add here to Jonathan, if you have explored the AMEC categories, you would know that there are different categories for in-house teams and also for providers of measurement and evaluation services. So within a partnership framework, you can enter in all of the categories that are for the general categories. With your own work, you could look into the in-house specific categories, where sometimes you might still need some help from your agency partners, which probably has happened also here on the floor. Megan, Grace, what is your point? Like, have you ever seen a scenario where your client might actually consider going for an award entry by themselves without the agency partner?
Megan, I'll let you go. I've not personally seen that, so maybe you have a better response.
Yeah, I really haven't either. Typically, our clients come to us if they are planning on entering something, and we work with them. And I think I just agree with everything Elise said, that it really does make it significantly stronger to have multiple parties, working together for the same goal. So I think that's definitely what we've found in my experience.
And you can get multiple copies of the award. Okay, so you can have one for the agency, one for the client. Just a note, you get multiple copies, which is nice.
It definitely is, which is exactly what many of us tend to do. We would, even if we win an award in the name of our own company, we would then definitely order a second copy for the client. So the more the merrier. I have another question. How closely do you typically work with your clients in compiling award entries? And I'll go to you, Grace, first on this. Do you see any particular benefit from working more closely with clients on the drafting of the award entries?
Yeah, it's Lauren and I work together every day. So this is a great question from her that we've both experienced. Yeah, I think that your relationship with your client is paramount to being able to create a good award entry. It's not necessary. It's not totally necessary. Like, you can create an award entry, even if you and the client, you're fresh in a relationship or maybe not as close, but in our experience, the clients that we have been closest to have been supportive of the entry. They also, I think Angela was speaking earlier about impact and securing information on the impact of your work. And when you have that close working relationship, they are more likely and more amenable to like providing that information, which creates a well-rounded report. And they'll also, be more likely to review it, kind of help you add things that can strengthen it. So it's important. If you have not a strong relationship, it's not, of course, like you can still submit a fabulous entry. But in my experience, it's been really helpful.
What about you, Angela? What's your
Yeah.
perspective? You've written many award entries with clients closely, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I would add to that what I was saying at the beginning, that sometimes I do have limited information, right? I have what I do. I'm the measurement person and I do media measurement, but I don't always have all the other pieces. So the more closely I can be with a client, the more they can help me fill in the gaps, right? There might be another piece of data they have they can share, and I can integrate that into the work that I'm doing. It might just be, I don't know how they end up using it. And by talking to them, I get a sense of, oh, wow, like you really are using this to inform your decisions, or it did change how you decide to invest your funds the following year, right? You decided to do this and not that because of what you saw in the data. So I do believe that, especially as a third party, there are gaps, and the more closely I work with a client, the more I can fill in those gaps and be able to answer the questions that I know we want to have answered and the judges want to see as well.
Megan, would you add anything to this?
Really, she added what I would have added, which is the information and
Yeah.
context, because I just feel like the client really always helps fill in the gaps. So whenever we can, we try to work with clients.
That's great. We don't have any more questions coming in the Q&A box, so unless something pops out right away, I'm just going to show you this. So this is one award that sits on my desk. All of the others are on kind of the rack, the official office rack. And I wanted to quickly tell you about this award from last year, which is, I guess, my favorite award. And I want you then to tell me about your one favorite award-winning case study. So this is an award that actually is for in-house communication teams. I'm not in-house communication teams. And this is an award that was given to UNDP for their Weather Kids campaign last year, an amazing campaign. And how I happened to have it is because I was part of the AMEC task force, which pro bono consulted UNDP on the measurement of the campaign. So I was very, very proud of the way we partnered as industries beyond the pressures of our own organizations and the desire to win recognition as separate companies or as individual professionals. And the whole award writing process, the whole measurement exercise for that matter, was just so heartwarming, because it was really collaboration between people who otherwise would be fierce competitors. So this is why I hold this on my desk, and it's my favorite recent AMEC award entry, despite some win, despite some great achievements we've had with our direct clients at Commetric. So with this, I want to hand over to you ladies to tell me about your favorite award wins. I'll go first to you, Megan. So Edelman, last year you crushed it on the AMEC Awards. Is your favorite case study from last year?
Actually, it is, and it's actually one of the unbranded entries that we did for our impact intelligence dashboard. And again, like I mentioned, we were at first hesitant to submit something that didn't have the client name on it, and there was a lot that couldn't be shared as part of this. So I think winning that a gold award in two categories for that entry was really big for us. And also it's a project that brings together paid, owned, earned media to provide real-time insights into a dashboard. And it's something that is newer for our team, and really a lot of work went into it. So I guess that would be my favorite. And it's just, again, an example of not everything has to be branded.
Thank you. Angela, I remember we first met in person 2 years ago at the AMEC Award ceremony in London, and you went home with a surplus of luggage because you brought a lot of trophies. Is your favorite case study from 2023 award season, or is it something more recent?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm trying to think of some of my favorites. And unfortunately, the one that came to mind was an unbranded one, but it was around multi-market reporting. Because a lot of what we do is standardization across markets, countries, different business areas. And so with a large healthcare brand, we help them because they had kind of very different reporting across their different groups and their different areas. And so what we really worked on is to streamline it, to standardize it, to have kind of a global impression so you could compare, one country to another, one region versus another, or one business area to another, because that was something that was lacking. And as I've been thinking about the work I've done with this brand, it was very global, so many people involved, but we've been able to really educate and align because just that standardization, I feel like opened up so much more now for the brand. So that's one example, but it's something we've done for lots of brands because that's really where we focus is more of that global standardization of how you look at it, how you measure quality. And so that's the one that came to mind. I wish another one came to mind that had a brand. Maybe in a minute I'll think of one. But that is the one that came to mind, and really focusing on something that is our sweet spot in terms of what we do as an organization.
I will be leaving Elise to think for a little longer. So this is why I'll go to Grace. Grace, Ketchum has been one of the, I think, ultimate record holders in the number of AMEC awards won over the past few years. So I'm sure you have many favorite case studies, but is there one that stands out, something that is like your favorite award-winning case study?
It's so funny. I was just going through, I'm like, I don't know which one I should choose because I've enjoyed writing all of them. But I would say that I would go back to the first award I ever submitted for AMEC, which was for Michelin. And it was called Building, or was something about like rebuilding their measurement engine, a pun, of course. And I think to me, this work really spoke to me for a couple of reasons. One, selfishly, this work was really my baby. I had never, I was still progressing in my career, and that was really the first piece of work where I was tasked in owning the full scope of the project, being the director of the account. And so I'd really seen this work progress from start to end and seen the value and impact of us shifting these metrics for the client. It's still a framework that they use to this day. So I was able to really clearly see the value, and my passion, I think, came through in the award entry. And that was, I would hope, a reason that it performed well. And I think just it being the first one, I appreciate it. And then the visible impact of that work over time is something else that I value about it. So that was one of my favorites.
See now how the masks are falling off. I hope John is not going to penalize me, but I remember I actually judged that entry and it was amazing.
That's crazy.
That was years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Elise, Grace mentioned that her first award entry was her favorite, and I think you have in your experience you have the first and the most recent, and they're very different, but I'm sure they're equally rewarding. Is there one entry that is a personal favorite, like something that is your pride and honor?
Yeah, I just have a handful. I don't have the hundreds like the other wonderful women here, but I think, honestly, I kind of forget the awards themselves, but I think when you win an award, what I remember is the partnership with the agency. And I think when you create that sort of that level of trust, that safety, where it's a real partnership, then that's what I treasure, because then it's just like the cherry on top, and I just remember like one of my direct reports was like, oh wow, this is the first time where I work with agencies and we're really like partners. It's not just a transaction like I need this, I want this tomorrow, It's we can challenge each other's thinking, say, oh, how can we do this better? For me, that's really the magic, and that's what really makes work fun, because you're enjoying what you do. And I think a lot of the time success comes from that. Then, an award comes because it's a good partnership. You're doing great work. You're challenging each other. And That's what I remember anyway. I couldn't tell you the awards, but I remember the people like you.
Thank you. That's true. We won that. We won a couple of gold awards together.
Yes. Yeah.
Ladies, this was a fascinating panel, and I personally learned a lot from your perspectives. Thank you so, so much. To everyone who tuned in to listen live, I hope you enjoyed it at least as much as I did. And please do reach out to us via LinkedIn. We're all active there, so we can continue the conversation. Brace yourselves for AMEC award season. Award entries kick in later this month. And I hope by now you have also secured your in-person or virtual attendance of the AMEC Summit held 10th through 12th of June in Vienna, Austria. Beautiful place to be in June. And I hope I'll see you there. Come talk to me or the other attendees on award success and most importantly, the award-winning inspiration. Julie posted here in the chat also a link to the AMEC event calendar. You can explore the AMEC events on the AMEC website. There is a great town hall on data quality next week. Make sure to register and tune in. It is absolutely worth it. Once again, my heartfelt thank you to our panelists. Ladies, if you want to have a closing remark and statement, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. It was a great
Yes.
conversation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you so much, Maya, and thank you, everyone. What a great discussion and very inspirational, hopefully, to everyone who's, on the cusp of thinking they're ready to enter the awards and, reevaluating some of the great programs they've done, and gives them a little bit of time to get in touch with those prickly clients to get some buy-in on why this is very, very cool. So thank you all so much for your time. We are so blessed with a wonderful community and volunteers, including volunteers who've had great success like you, make this all possible. So thank you so much for your time and for the resource of your thought leadership and all of the inputs of what you've navigated to make some successful awards. We appreciate you, and I will look forward to seeing all of you at the awards ceremony in November in London to bring home the bling as you can. And if Angela comes, she now knows to pack an extra suitcase or buy a really expensive one, apparently there in London. So whichever, but you're making the best step into getting those ideas and really curating your best opportunity to put those clients forward. So thank you all so much. Brilliantly moderated, Maya. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you in Vienna.
Thank you, and looking forward to seeing everyone either in Vienna or in London or anywhere around the world in the warm AMEC community.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.